This is not the time to gossip. This is not the time to trash people, to do anything other than show love and compassion for the children that are involved in this, including my children who lost their unkie, they call him. They lost their uncle. My beautiful nieces have lost their father. I am not interested in answering your questions if you are only looking to gossip or to be a troublemaker, a stirrer-up of gossip. Leave me out of that conversation and just don't have that conversation. Be more respectful.
It's Matt Butler. He is the Letcher County prosecutor, but he's not prosecuting the case against Sheriff Stines. That's because of the conflict. He has a relationship with the judge, but there is addressing all the gossip because, like, the day after this happened, everyone's asking the same question that everyone is asking. Why? It doesn't make sense. Something happened. What was it that drove the sheriff to go into the judge's chambers and unload his weapon or discharge his weapon? He didn't unload it. Here's Mike Watt. He's the circuit court clerk. He knows everybody involved in this and is, you know, he works in the courthouse. He works with these guys all the time, knows them. It's a personal relationship. And here he is speaking with Ashley Banfield over on News Nation.
The sheriff walked in and asked whoever was in the chambers that he needed to speak with the judge in private, and the doors were closed.
And they couldn't hear any other conversation after that, even that there was conversation?
No, the next thing they heard is gunshots, I think, and they didn't realize if they were from the outside or if someone had came in or what. They evacuated the building. After
the sheriff allegedly fired 8 shots, killing Judge Mullins, what does the video show him doing right after that?
Again, I have not seen the video.
What have you been told it shows?
That he picked up the phone again, the judge's phone, and looked at it and laid it back down and walked out.
So after the shots were fired, he did not render assistance. He did not check the judge. He picked up the judge's phone off the desk again, looked at it, and then walked out of the office?
From my understanding, again, I've not seen the video. He came out a side entrance, turned and walked back in the front entrance.
When he walked back in the front entrance, what happened after that? What was he doing going back into the courthouse?
The first responders were responding. Of course, they probably thought he was there to assist them until he walked back in the courthouse, back into the courtroom, is my understanding, and laid his revolver or his pistol down on one of the tables.
So he goes into the judge's chambers, private meeting, closes the door, and the local reporting in this story that we understand, and that the clerk said, yeah, that's my understanding as well, is that they're sitting down. So they're sitting across from one another, and the sheriff has a cell phone in one hand and then takes the judge's cell phone in the other hand. He's got 2 cell phones, one in each hand. And he takes a look at the judge's cell phone, puts it down, stands up, and that's when he goes around the desk, 8 shots, takes out the judge, and then comes back around, picks up the cell phone, looks at it one more time, puts it down, and then walks out of the building, surrenders himself, and ends up in the courtroom. What's going on here? Like, to me, it's about that cell phone. Whatever he saw on the judge's cell phone and comparing it to whatever other cell phone was in his hand meant something. It took him from sitting down and either arguing or speaking with the judge to allegedly shooting and killing the judge. So let's bring in our think tank. Joining me tonight, attorney, law professor Randy Kessler. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone tonight. Thanks for being here. Okay, I mean, it seems, Randy, this is unusual, right? We talk about courthouse shootings, they're rare. This one, there was no way to prevent it. It's the sheriff himself. It is the guy in charge of security who is firing his weapon. But it seems like it was all connected to something on the judge's phone. Is that the key to understanding why this would happen?
Based on what we know now, 1,000%, right? They're going to see what was on there. And then his whole play is a sympathetic jury. If he had any rationale, any basis for it, the judge did something he didn't like, said something he didn't like, texted something he didn't like, his only possible hope is that the jury says, wow, that would have set me off too. But it's a long shot. But gosh, what's on that cell phone? Wouldn't you love to know? And I think we will know. And it'll be, I hope you break it. It's going to come out soon, I'm sure. That's the answer.
Darnell, the way I look at this, like whatever's on that phone took the guy on the right, turned him into a killer on the left, right? Whatever he saw, he said, a guy who is saying goodbye to his family, goodbye to his job, goodbye to his freedom to be housed with criminals who he's been locking up for years. Darnell, I mean, I can't imagine what would drive anyone to do that.
Yeah, well, quite to the contrary. It's funny you use those words that you can't imagine, because the whole time I've been watching this story today and tonight, I've been doing nothing but imagining. And I hate to be sort of a conspiracy theorist, but we bring our shared life experiences into these spaces. So obviously this is not a legal question. The only legal question here that I had was whether it was premeditated. But it sounds like there could be an argument against premeditation, because the witnesses say they went into the chambers, he asked for a quiet conversation, they had more conversation, and then the gunshots. So if it was premeditation, he would just open the door and start shooting. But in terms of my imagination, I'm imagining that there was some kind of gay relationship going on here, or homosexual.
No, stop.
Yes.
Stop.
No, I have
Stop. This is rank speculation, will not be a part of this program. Well, I think we could say this though, Jennifer, because and it's interesting that we have you and Randy tonight. What I sense from this is that the emotion of this is what we see in family courts, which is something, sure. I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's personal, and it makes people do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And when it comes to what happens in those courtrooms that you guys are in those cases that you guys litigate, people lose their sense of right and wrong and perspective, and lose their minds and do things that they might not, that they would not ordinarily do, but they're caught up in the emotion of something that is so personal. And I think that's what Darnell was hinting at, but like, not the speculation, but that it's something that touches them personally, Jennifer.
Totally, and we see these cases time and time again, Vinny, about people, family members, custody battles, people shooting each other. We're going to talk about Shawn Gardner in a few minutes. I mean, you see these types of cases over and over again. Now with these two, they were good friends. They had gone to lunch together apparently, and then who knows? I think it's more than what was on the cell phone. That might have been sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, but I think that there was some kind of dispute going on between the two of them. And, you know, the sheriff had been under investigation for failing to supervise one of his deputies who apparently had some kind of sexual relations with people in the judge's chambers. Could it have related to something along those lines? Who knows? But there was definitely some kind of dispute going on here. I disagree with Darnell's theory. I don't think there's any evidence to show that. But some kind of personal dispute for sure between two men that were very close, worked together, were friendly, definitely had that personal connection.
Well, the sheriff had just been deposed on the civil part of that case, where
Correct.
there's an alleged sexual assault. in the judge's chambers after hours by one of his deputies, and he's being sued as being that deputy's boss, as the sheriff. He didn't train him properly. He didn't oversee him. He didn't investigate what happened properly. So that's bubbling as well. So that's possible. But that, to me, that's not quite as personal as other potential scenarios. I want to play this, though. Matt Butler, who is the Commonwealth attorney who recused himself from all of this, explains his relationship with the judge and gives us a little more insight into the judge and the man that he knows who's the victim here.
Many of you are aware of the close personal relationship I had with Judge Mullins. You may know, for example, that we, for many years, were married to a pair of sisters, that his daughters are my nieces, and that my two oldest kids are his niece and nephew. We were for many years on opposite sides of the courtroom from each other. He was the assistant Commonwealth's attorney when I was the public defender. We had fierce litigation. I respected him. We fought hard for our respective sides in court and tried cases against each other before he was the judge, and never had a disagreement outside of that courtroom. We have always got along. I always thought he was hilarious. I always thought he was very witty. He was fun to be around outside of court. And as a brother-in-law, I will never forget how kind he was to my children. It seemed that he had maybe endless patience for kids. He found them entertaining. He loved them. He was kind to them. He would do anything for them. And everything that I'm going to talk about today is in the context of somebody that I will always appreciate and respect for how he treated my children personally, and how he was as a father to his beautiful daughters.
So you have there a clear picture being painted by the judge's friend, brother-in-law, about being a family guy. I want to show you a video. This is from 2018 on Facebook to give you an idea of the sheriff. Was doing a lip sync challenge with his daughter. Take a look. So she's singing along with her dad. I mean, it's a great little moment. The sheriff posted that on his page. So, Randy, you have two guys here dedicated seemingly to their families. And this is where we are.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff Jennifer and I talk about at our, family law conferences. The anger between people that know each other and love each other and care for each other is often 10 times worse. A stranger does something bad to you, he's a bad guy. But someone who you expect so much of, and someone you respect, like the elected sheriff and the elected judge, and all of a sudden they do something that irritates you, boy, it's just devastating. And sometimes you just snap, and, maybe that's what happened. There's something that went on, and I expected more from you. I can't believe you did this. I trusted you. You're like me. You're like my brother. You're like my family member. You're angrier. And we see it all the time in family law cases.
Great analogy, great analysis. All right, our great guests are staying with us. Randy Kessler, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. When we